this computer. Yay, cool. Right then. So, where is my PowerPoint? Ta-da! I already did that bit. So, welcome everyone to the monthly Big Gay Out Talk. Healthy love, busting myths, and cultivating expansive relationships with Davide Pagnotta, a good friend of mine. I'm very happy and grateful that he's offered to do this for us this evening. Make sure, so a few little housekeeping rules. Like I said to those who joined before I started recording, view in gallery mode, because Davide is not always going to be showing a PowerPoint like this. So it's nice for us all to see each other and to see his face as well. Also, if you click on your own box on the three dots in the corner, you can rename yourself so we know who you are, who's asking a question. Make sure you're on mute. If I hear noise, I will mute people. Obviously not in the middle of asking a question. Make sure your cameras are on, ideally, if you don't mind, if you're not doing something that you don't want us to see. In true Big Gay Out spirit, let's actually socialize as well as we can on Zoom. If you have questions, post them in the chat. I think Davide will be asking you questions throughout, so you'll have the chance to interact there. But if you have any additional questions, we'll probably be taking them at the end. There'll be time at the end to answer any questions which haven't been answered throughout the talk itself. So I'm going to introduce Davide. I've got his very impressive bio here. He holds an MSc in physics, a coaching practitioner diploma, and an MBA from London Business School. He's also a leadership lecturer at Ravensbourne University in London and co-author of You're Not Good Enough, You're Great Enough, Solving Imposter Syndrome and Overcoming the Insecurities That Hold Us Back. Definitely need to buy that one. His journey of self-acceptance as a gay man deeply influences his mission with Wise Humanity, a venture that he co-founded to support personal and professional empowerment when he transitioned from a 20-year corporate career to coaching and teaching personal growth. And by integrating his struggles and achievements, Davide aims to enhance fulfillment and resilience in others, fostering a better future for individuals, communities, and the planet. Thank you, Davide. I will stop sharing my very lengthy PowerPoint and hand over to you.
Okay, thank you, Owen. Thank you, everyone. I love this opportunity because I don't know about you, but normally I never talk about work with my friends. So this is a great opportunity, A, to do my part in Owen's community, which I love, and B, to share some of my work with friends. So let's start with a bit of a rhetorical question. Have you ever been heartbroken? Yes. Have you heard, which is not necessarily terrible, but have you ever felt that the world was ending when you were heartbroken? And yeah, me too. Now, does it help to know that much of that pain actually doesn't come from the loss itself, but comes from our modern culture's mental maps about love? And this is what we're going to talk about today. So I've been there with heartbreaks at least, well, 2 major times in my life. And I felt that, yeah, the world was ending. I felt that my life had lost its meaning. And I mean, that means that I had no meaning. So that was, we can turn around the words, but that what it means. And so imagine what was going on in my head and what goes on in our head, how powerful that message is. Your life is meaningless. In those moments, our self-image is probably at its lowest. And I'm going to briefly talk about self-love, because self-love is fundamental for the relationships we build, any kind of relationship. Because the way we love, like, or dislike ourselves determines our self-image, and that's what we bring into our relationships of all kinds, not only romantic ones. All our issues, our feelings of shame sometimes, our insecurities, all the things that we try to hide or protect, that is our self-image. That is what we bring into a relationship. And we often enter relationships hoping that they'll fix us, or expecting our partners to accept everything we struggle accepting ourselves. And these are often the issues that about ourselves that we're most sensitive to. And we expect our partners to handle them easily, sometimes even fix them. I'll tell you a few examples. And then one is very dear to me, the first one, age. And I don't know how you guys cope with aging, but for me, even if I have some, I think I have some good emotional intelligence tools in my toolkit, aging is a problem. But at the same time, I definitely want my partner to totally cope with my aging, and I want him to be respectful when he talks about aging. And I want him to, and if he does make some comments about someone else's age, I feel hurt because, and I judge my partner as disrespectful. But in reality, the underlying issue is that I have an issue with aging. Body image. I don't like myself, but I want my partner to like me. Often unconditionally, often also without desiring anyone else. Then what I bring into relationships is any childhood issues. And I'm making a bit fun of these things, but some are really serious. You know, from my childhood experiences, I may have a constant need for validation, and I bring it into my relationships. All of them, by the way, not only loved ones. Or the opposite, a constant fear of closeness. Jealousy. Jealousy comes from my own insecurities, but I blame it on my partner's behavior. Irritability, you know, those things that they come from many different issues, like how you load the dishwasher. And if you don't do it the way I do for 5 times, I'll get angry. Perfectionism. If you comment on something that I may not have done well, I feel hurt and I may get mad. But it's not my partner making me mad. It's all my self-image issues. Lack of clear communication. I'm ashamed of sharing my needs with my partner because I'm afraid that I could be judged, I could be rejected, I may come across as needy, so I don't say what I need. But at the same time, I'm expecting my partner to read my mind and do all the things that I'm needing. Does it ever happen to you, any of these things? And then sometimes we also tell ourselves a story, but if I ask for this kind of attention, then it's less worthy. Why? How can I expect anyone to read my mind? So we carry these issues everywhere, and it's okay. I mean, the problem is not having issues. The problem is that many times we go into relationships and we expect them to solve them or to cope with them better than we cope with them ourselves. And this places a very unfair burden on our partners and the relationship itself. I'm going to share an image now. So I don't know if you've ever seen this. It was a sculpture at Burning Man some years ago. Can you see my screen? Okay. I can't see it. There's 2 people, you know, what's the word in English? Their backs are facing each other. They're showing their back to each other, but their inner selves are trying to connect. So imagine every time you've had an argument with someone you love and someone who loves you. Okay, now I can see it. And maybe you were not connecting in that moment. You were having an argument, but not because of lack of desire of connection. Both of you wanted to connect, what could not connect, what was keeping you apart was your self-image and the image that you have of the other person. And this is really, really important, because you need to move your attention not from the person or yourself, but from the image that you have of yourself and the image that you have of the other person. So it's not an issue of your being and their being. It's just an issue of all the stories that we're telling ourselves about ourselves and the other person. So, yeah, let me stop sharing again now. So why do we go into relationships seeking for a fix, or seeking for happiness? Now, there's the mindset that is heavily influencing our idea of love these days. I call it Hollywood relationship model, and basically suggests that I'm incomplete and my partner completes me. Have you ever used words like "my other half" when you were referring to your partner? Or sometimes even "my better half"? Have you ever said things like "you complete me"? Or "I need you"? "I need you." Or "you're the one"? "You make me happy." Let me turn the lights on. "You're my everything." Have you ever thought, like, nobody at a break, when you were at a breakup, nobody's ever gonna love me again? Have you ever had thoughts like this? I have. Maybe not for a long time, but for a bit, yes. Or also, "I'll never fall in love again." Does it remind you of a song, by the way? "I'll never fall in love again." Or Wayne would probably sing it better. All of the above, yes. So Dionne Warwick started singing in 1969, but this song is actually older, from 1962. And there's another one that I like to mention a lot: "Can't live if living is without you." Have you ever thought something similar to that? Now, Mariah Carey started singing in 1994, but the song is actually from 1970. So there's a massive cultural mainstream culture. The mainstream culture at the moment is this Hollywood romantic relationship model, where I'm incomplete and I need another half to be complete. And it's not always been like that, by the way. And historically, people would get married for wealth, for power, for family obligations, for mutual assistance, never because they felt incomplete on their own. In the Middle Ages, the mainstream romantic model was that of the conquest. There was the longing, the desire, winning many obstacles, and then conquering love, and that was it. And then we don't know what happens after that. And these are mental maps about love, and they're not always very healthy, but we live in them. If we have this romantic idea that someone completes me, it's a romantic idea, it's fine, but we have that, we consider it romantic because that's what we've been educated to think. And it's romantic, it's nice while it works, but when it doesn't work, it actually gives us lots of problems, because all of a sudden we feel incomplete. We feel like a failure if we're not in a relationship. Have you ever thought of yourself or someone else? What's the problem with them? Why are they always single? Have you ever thought that of some, or oh, Yeah, no, you can't keep a relationship for a long time. What's the problem? Also in the straight world, it's like that. There's a lot of pressure to be in a relationship. Like again, like it's a need for personal completion, wholeness. And by the way, out of 8 billion people in this world, there's only one that completes us, which is also another something else that puts a lot of pressure on our idea of relationships. So today's culture celebrates the idea of being completed by another person, and it's unrealistic and misleading. And the point that I'm trying to make across here is that no relationship, nobody should be burdened with the task of having to make me feel better. This is my personal responsibility. And many times we put these responsibilities onto relationships. Any questions until now?
Actually,
Before
we've
I
got
move
some
on.
comments. Yes.
Okay.
I don't know if you've been seeing them, but I mean, Rusty, would you like to unmute yourself and kind of ask a question in particular right now? Because I know since you initially.
You can read it.
Yeah, so initially when you started talking, he mentioned, so how do you come across as not needy and get the balance right? And then he just wanted to confirm that mental maps are just our imagined formats of what love relationships should be. Is that what you're saying? These mental maps?
Yeah. So yeah. Okay. So the first question from Rusty, I'll actually answer it in a moment. And mental maps is basically mental maps. There's different word. Mental maps is a very wise humanity word, and but you can use different concepts. You can call it mindset, mind frame, story, narrative. So our mainstream narrative about love these days is this romantic idea that I need someone to feel complete, and by myself I'm not complete. And I need a relationship to make me happy.
Thank you. Would you say like a model as well as a model?
Yeah, mental model as well. Yes.
Thank you. Any more questions?
So there's I like to share a video and then suggest an exercise that we use a lot at Was Humanity, but I will not ask you to do it now, but I would suggest it for you to do it later and discover something. So the video is obviously in French because we're talking about love, but it has English subtitles from a Luc Besson movie. Okay, a conversation about a stereotypically not good-looking person and a stereotypically very good-looking person.
Ça t'embête mes questions?
Non, si tu t'intéresses à moi, ça veut dire que tu commences à t'intéresser à toi.
C'est intéressant.
Mais bien sûr que tu l'es. T'es beau, intelligent.
Arrête de te foutre de ma gueule.
Mais si, je t'assure, c'est tout là-dedans. Mais t'es incapable de le voir, de le sortir.
Je sais. C'est pas facile.
Mais si, c'est facile. Viens, tu vas voir. Regarde dans la glace. Qu'est-ce que tu vois? Regarde dans la glace. Qu'est-ce que tu vois?
Je vois une fille sublime.
Merci. À côté d'elle, qu'est-ce que tu vois?
Je sais pas.
C'est bien. Tu progresses.
Ah bon, tu trouves?
Oui. Avant, tu voyais que de la merde. Maintenant, au moins, tu vois plus rien. C'est que t'as bien nettoyé la place. Maintenant, faut y mettre quelque chose sur ce coquille vide. Tu peux pas la laisser comme ça. Alors regarde bien, devant toi. Y a rien qui t'intéresse dans ce beau visage.
En grand-chose.
Regarde bien dans tes yeux. Qu'est-ce que tu vois?
De la gentillesse.
Oui, il y en a beaucoup. Et après?
Ils sont pas mal.
De la beauté. Exact. Ils sont beaux. Et après?
Peut-être de la douceur.
Oui, beaucoup. Et de l'amour?
Ouais. L'amour marche beaucoup. Ouais. Trop peut-être même.
Tu y en as trop. Faut le faire sortir. Dis-moi que tu m'aimes.
Pardon?
Tu m'aimes pas?
Si, beaucoup. Enfin, je ressens une sorte d'affection, mais ça peut être de l'amitié qui...
Tu m'aimes ou tu m'aimes pas?
Depuis le premier jour. Depuis la première seconde.
Bon, alors dis-le.
C'est difficile à dire.
Tu sais pourquoi? Parce que personne ne te l'a jamais dit. Ouais? C'est difficile de s'aimer comme personne ne vous renvoie l'image.
Oui.
Je t'aime, en vrai. Voilà. Tu as reçu de l'amour. Maintenant, tu peux me donner à ton tour. Vas-y.
Je t'aime, Angela. Quel que soit ton prénom.
T'as raison. Redis-le. Sois mon nom.
Je t'aime.
C'est bien. Maintenant, regarde-toi bien. Et dis-le.
Je peux pas.
Bien sûr que tu peux. Regarde ton corps, meurtri par le manque d'amour, de confiance. Tu ne vois pas qu'il mérite qu'on s'occupe un peu de lui? Alors, ne le rejette pas, ce corps blessé, qui t'a supporté depuis si longtemps, sans jamais se plaindre. Dis-lui qu'il a son importance, qu'il a sa place. Donne-lui ce qu'il mérite.
Je t'aime. André. Je t'aime.
So what have you guys seen? What are you taking away from this video?
It's difficult to love yourself when you don't receive the love. You don't hear it on a regular basis.
Yeah.
How are you gonna love yourself? How are you gonna love anybody if you can't love yourself? Got the line wrong, but
RuPaul fashion.
no, I coined the phrase actually. Thank you.
There's actually a theory. I think it's called the lid theory, or something like that. That again, you can't feel anything. You can't express anything more than you feel it for yourself. There's a lid on the love you can give, and the lid is the love that you can give yourself.
A lot of it kind of reminds me of like inner child work, which I've done
Mhm.
many moons ago. But it's almost like there's a sort of splitting of your personality, and your part of yourself is talking to the other part of yourself. And that's why I think it was really beautiful the way the director used an external person to represent that.
What else do you see? Any other takeaways from this video?
I mean, I was going to say something similar to what you just said, which is, you know, if you're running on empty and you don't have surplus to pour out, you have to fill yourself first before you can give. You know, if you're empty, it's hard to give. You know, I don't know. I think I'm not explaining myself very well, but yeah, when you're full, it pours out of you to other people.
Yeah, the only thing I won't go into the details of that now, because otherwise we go into the different direction. But it's the thing of you need to not love yourself first is the first bit is what I mean. It actually happens at the same time. When you love yourself more in a healthy way, you actually love everyone else in the same way, and it happens at the same time. So this thing of first, it sometimes is misleading, because then it gives you, like, you know, makes you think that you need to be selfish first, and then you can go and love others. But there's no need for that.
Kind of difficult to watch as well, because when you watch a film, right, you naturally put yourself in the position of a character, and you're recreating. You're sort of forced to do the same, and I was actually looking away often because it felt very uncomfortable.
It's fantastic that you say that, because the exercise that we actually do with our students is we ask them to do that for like a week, for 10 minutes a day, look at the mirror and say, I love you, Pantos. I love you very much. And say it for 10 minutes. And what happens is that you start looking beyond the image, of course, and you start looking inside. And we also ask them to journal about the experience. At the beginning, it's very almost embarrassing, often, and very hard. Some people find it super hard, and then we insist, okay, try for as long as you can, and if you can't journal that day, you couldn't do it, but then show up in front of the mirror the next day and try doing it again. And it's funny because it really changes, the experience changes day by every day. And the more you do it, the more you go beyond the image. And then you see that part of you, like even in the video says, you know, the part of you that has been through so much in your life, and has suffered, has grown, and is there now, and that part can give love to you. And so this is a really, really powerful exercise to do for multiple days, not just once. And I recommend it to you. And it's a healing. It's a healing exercise, because it allows you to go beyond that self-image that often is a problem. Because again, if like I mentioned, aging is something that I'm still working on, but doing the exercise, I go beyond that. And then after I've gone beyond that for several days in a row, then it's actually less important, less relevant. What is more relevant is the person beyond the image. So this is really an exercise that I recommend you guys do. And so look after your self-image. So this is an exercise of both self-love and self-image. The second tool, the second concept I like to share is that now we're not incomplete. There's nothing that we need to achieve or get or become that will make us feel complete. If you think of, oh yes, I would like to be in a relationship and then I will feel complete. But then when you're in a relationship, you still don't feel complete. You will, if you have the mental map that something else outside you will make you complete, will make you whole, you will never be, because everything that you achieve, even if it's a massive achievement, some of our clients are people who won global awards, and now some of them feel empty. Say, well, I don't, yeah. And then what's next? So as long as we keep the mental map about ourselves that we are incomplete and we need something to be complete, to complete us, we'll never find it. So it's actually the mental map that is flawed. We are whole from the very first day that we were born. Of course, we grow, but we're always whole. We're just bigger and more experienced, but we're always whole. There's nothing out there that can make us whole if we don't feel whole. So if you go into a relationship without the need to complete yourself, you're taking a massive burden from the relationship, off the shoulders of the relationship. But in general, whatever expectation you have, and you place it on a relationship, you're actually putting a burden on the relationship. And is it necessary? So I'd like to introduce the concept of small love, and which is the one that comes with a lot of expectations. So one of them, for example, is when I cling to the image of the other person, like, and you know, when you're with someone and then they change, or you know, they have a bad period in their life, or they're just evolving. And how many times have you said or heard someone say, "Oh, you're not the person I thought you were"? Like, I don't know, what is it? Like, we are expecting other people to be still. Like, I can change, I grow, I go through time, I have experiences, but the other person can't change. So there is a massive expectation that the other person will not change. Or that if they change, then I say, oh, you're not who I thought you were. What massive expectation that you can remove from an unhealthy one. Then we put a lot of conditions and control and manipulation in a relationship. Things like, I'll only love you as long as you follow my rules. It's a super conditional love. You may decide that you're okay with it. I'm going to give you an alternative mental map about love later at the end. But you may decide, yeah, but of course that I only love a person if they behave the way I want. Well, give it a thought, huh? Because what kind of love is that? What advice do I give to people who receive this type of love? Ooh, okay. Hold on to that question. We get that. Other expectations, self-centeredness. I'm expecting you to be the source of my love and my happiness. That's also something very common. Or any other commitments that we burden the relationship with, and then maybe sometimes we're not even capable of fulfilling ourselves. Like one, for example, is never lying. How many times have you said a white lie? How many times have you omitted something? And you did it for a good reason, just because you didn't want to have an argument, you didn't want to hurt your partner or whatever. But then you expect your partner never to do it. And if they do, then they betrayed you, then they're not reliable, you can't trust them, etc. And this is all based on our insecurities, by the way. Or not desiring, I don't know what your idea is about open relationship, closed relationship, etc. But when, you know, sometimes we burden the relationship with like, okay, you can't even desire someone else. But of course, we do desire someone else. So we put expectations and rules in place that are unbalanced, and then often we're not even capable of having a relaxed conversation about, but we still expect that from our partner. So all these expectations we like to call it small love. And it's important to notice that expectations are the projections of my mental maps onto another person. So are the projections of my way of seeing the world onto another person. And I'll give you a couple of examples. Those of you who know me for many years and follow me from the times when Facebook was a thing, and you know my mom, and because I often quote her on Facebook. And one of the things with my mom is that she never approves my decisions. And when you go, now I laugh about it, but for many years it was complicated to have a mom that would never approve your decisions. And I didn't feel loved, and I felt insecure. And while you may say that it's obvious, or that or it's natural to want your mom to approve your decisions, it's still an unnecessary expectation. And it was creating a problem in our relationship, because I didn't feel loved, because we had arguments all the time. And then I realized, hang on, what kind of expectation is here? I'm expecting another human being to always approve my decisions. How realistic is that expectation? Why should I have it? And I dropped it from the relationship with my mom, and I realized she shows her love in so many other ways, and our relationships improved incredibly. Yes, she still doesn't approve any of my decisions, but it doesn't matter. I removed that burden from the relationship. And I took care of that myself. My need was, I needed a validation. I felt insecure about my decisions, and I needed my parents to approve them to feel more secure. That's something I need to work by myself. I don't need the relationship. I don't need to burden the relationship with my parents with this burden. Fran, my partner, at the beginning of our relationship, he was always commenting my blogs he was reposting them. Now he never does it. And of course, there was a moment of transition where I thought, why is he not doing it? Why are you not doing it? And there was, in the back of my mind, to say, oh, he doesn't love me like he loved me before. He's not interested. He doesn't care like he used to do. But again, do I need to burden the relationship with that? Like even I don't ask him to say as many questions about his work as I used to at the beginning. So he's also entitled to be less involved, and then it's up to me to decide, okay, what is it? Do I feel insecure about my blogs and I need my partner's confirmation that they're good? Okay, then it's my issue. Basically, but this is another important point. Whenever a relationship is making you suffer, it means that you're putting a burden on the relationship about something that you could handle yourself. Always. And it's one thing to desire that Fran, to have a desire that Fran were a bit more involved with my work, but it's another one to get angry if he doesn't. So if I suffer because he doesn't, then I'm putting a burden on the relationship that doesn't need to be there. I can handle it myself. There's a writer, I don't know, you may have heard of him or not, Michael Singer. He's a New York Times best-selling author. He also went to operas. At our retreat last year, we actually went to meet him in North Florida. And one of the things that he said was that expectations, needs, and preferences in general are an expression of inner issues that I'm trying to solve with outside control. And I can take back responsibility over those inner issues.
Can you say that quote again,
Yes.
please?
No, I may not say with exactly the same words now, but so so when expectation, needs, or preferences are the expression of an internal issue that I'm trying to solve, but to solve by controlling the external world. Preferences, expectations on someone to behave in a certain way are an attempt to control. Now, that's a powerful mental map, by the way, thinking that we should have zero preferences because we should exert zero control on other people. Now, as humanity, we don't advocate that we should live a life without preferences or needs. But it's important to realize that that's what they are. They are preferences. So many times we go into how many times you had an argument with a loved person about something, I don't know, about a jealousy situation or even something more stupid, like really like the socks on the floor, and then the conversation became an argument, and the argument was about who's right and who's wrong. It wasn't about socks, it wasn't about jealousy, it was about I'm right, you're wrong. So many times it happens, and that's because I don't realize that I have a preference, and I think this is how things should be done. This is how you should behave. This is the right way that you should behave. When we go to a club, you can look at other people, but not in a certain way. That obviously that only I'm in control of. I know what is the right way and what is the wrong way. And if you do it the wrong way, you're making a mistake. And then we have an argument about how you looked at someone else, instead of having a conversation about insecurities. So this is actually something that, so I'm blessed with having a partner who's also a life coach as well. He's a physiotherapist, but he did a two years master in coaching. So the kind of conversations that we can have are very yeah, we're on the same page on many conversations. So when we talk about jealousy, for example, because we do feel it, there are moments where we feel it, but when we talk about it from the perspective of insecurities, not blaming the other person, the partner's behavior. I say this happened, and I felt insecure. Let's talk about it. This is small love. Any questions about small love other than, okay, what is the alternative, which I'm getting to? But how do you feel about all the topics that I've mentioned now, the examples of small love, of control, of self-centeredness, expectations that we have?
I think, David, can you hear me?
Yes.
I think the thing that I struggle with, like, it's all really good advice to like let go of some of these like inner like blocks or tensions that you've talked about. But I guess like what I really struggle with is, so once you let go, where does it end? Like it goes to that point of like not having preferences, not experiencing any kind of jealousy, or do you know what I mean?
Yes, and the point. So let me introduce big love. 5 minutes about big love, and then we start, and then basically that's it, and we can have all the conversation questions, etc. That we. So what is the alternative? And because even while I talk about these things, I also, there's still a part of me that says, yeah, but this is what love is about, right? That you behave in a way that is compatible with my desires, that you make me happy, that that I feel complete. Is so romantic. The idea is so romantic, but it's also very unrealistic and often unhealthy. While it works, it's amazing, but when it doesn't work, then we crumble. And or we just have fights on something that is not helpful, and it doesn't help the relationship. So what is big love? I'll use 3 words. So one is acceptance. Now, which is loving, like big love is loving someone beyond the image, the labels, the judgment, and accepting someone for who they are. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that they're right to be my partner, okay? But it means that I stop mixing the relationship and its dynamics with my own projections, my own fears, expectations, my pain, my suffering, my anxiety. I stop mixing all of that with the dynamics of the relationship. And I also don't allow my partner to draw me into their fears, their pain, their anxiety, and their expectation, their projections, etc. So acceptance, like acceptance beyond the judgment, is a form of bigger love. And from this place of love, whenever there's an argument, it's an expression of your partner's pain. If your partner attacks you verbally as an argument, he's not attacking you. It's just an expression of their pain and their fears. And it's the same when you attack them. You're actually not attacking them. It's just an expression of your pain and your fears. And automatically then, it's not, those arguments are not a place where you need to defend yourself, because your partner is not attacking you. He's just expressing his own pain, his own suffering. You don't need to defend yourself. There's a Buddhist saying that it says that you need two hands to clap. So if someone is attacking you and you start defending yourself, that's an argument. But the moment you realize that the person is that is just an expression of their pain, then you can have a completely different approach. And your positive contribution to the relationship is just to create the space where the other person can vent or do whatever they want until then you can have a more constructive conversation. But the important bit is not feeling attacked, because that's not what's happening. They are attacking the image that they have about you. They're not attacking you. And that image is based on their fears. If I have an image that my boyfriend is unreliable and potentially unfaithful, and I'm jealous, and then I attack him for his behaviors, that's an expression of my fears. And or when Fran attacks me for his jealousy, that's an expression of his fears. And while the temptation to get into the argument is powerful, it's not helpful. While it's much more helpful to say, okay, I'm accepting this moment as an expression of your fears, your insecurities, or whatever troubles you're going through in that moment. And let it happen. I don't feel personally attacked. So this is acceptance. Another big word is growth. Now, we often think that our relationships are there to make us happy. And therefore, I judge the quality of the value of a relationship based on how happy it makes me. But again, my happiness is my responsibility. It's no one else's. So an alternative, powerful mental map about love is that a relationship is not there to make me happy, but to make me grow. To make me conscious and to make me grow. Basically, and this is true for any relationship, by the way, relationships act as mirrors of my pain and my challenges, and as a workspace for my love and my compassion. And through this framework, they inspire me to grow and to become a better version of myself. So from this mental map, I can assess the quality or the the success of a relationship, not by how happy it makes me, which is my responsibility, but how well it creates a space for growth. And honestly, if the person that we're in a relationship with doesn't inspire me to be a better version of myself, then I think it's important to question myself why I'm in that relationship. And the third and last concept about big love is connection. And I can live a relationship as a spiritual journey. And as a space that I create for the other person to be themselves, their true self, to live and go through all their pain, their issues, their fears, and grow and be themselves and become their better version of themselves. And of course, I also long to create relationships that allow that to me. That's it. I had very recently one of the students of our flagship course brought to me an issue that she was saying that her husband was very critical at the time. She started a new company, a new startup, and he's always very critical of how she does things, how she behaves. I don't know, she goes to a podcast and then the first thing that the husband says is, oh, this is the list of all the things that you didn't do well. And in the meantime, this has been for a while, and in the meantime, she started feeling interest for other people, and she was really scared about that, about, well, how is it possible that I don't want to feel interest for other people? I still love my husband, and then we started talking about this other model of love, like with acceptance, growth, and connection, and I started saying, okay, how would you rate at the moment? How would you rate your relationship based on how happy it makes you? And she said 6. And I said, okay, how do you rate it based in how well it creates a space for you to grow? And she said 10, because she really likes her husband, and she really likes the projects that they're carrying out together, and she wants to be in that relationship. And that opened her eyes, and she said, "You might have saved my marriage." And it's going really well now. I mean, it's still early days, but after this change, but it's working. Okay, I'll stop talking. I'd like to hear some questions.
I just did a silent little emoji clap there. Just thank you so much. I really enjoyed that personally. Any questions from the audience? And also, this is recorded, so it will be posted online. So there are many people who will be watching it afterwards. And if you're happy, I'll add you to the Big A Talks group on WhatsApp as well for people to ask you questions after. So those who are watching this not live, but in the recording, please post in the WhatsApp group your questions. Any live questions here now?
Or any question that I didn't answer, and I said hold them for later. Now
Yeah.
it's the good time.
Adrian, do you feel like you were answered? Hello.
Hello.
Lovely.
Hi, Adrian.
Yeah, I think so. I guess if no one's going to have a question, I'll go in with another question, which is around, like, I guess you've sort of expressed the theory of like big love. I'd be keen to hear about like how you put it into practice, like the challenges of putting it into practice, and some advice as to how to do it.
So one thing is really let go of judgment and labels, and because judgment and like when you're talking with someone, letting go of the temptation to verbally attack them, but to put a label on the person, and really think that every time this is a fundamental thing, really. Every time you suffer, you feel you feel hurt from a relationship. The hurt bit is inside you. It's not the partner that hurts you. The partner does something, and your internal system decides that the way to react is with pain or fear or jealousy. But the partner might have done something, but it's your mental maps, and it's your neural architecture that decides, I'm gonna react with jealousy or anger or bursting out of the room, I don't know, or hanging up the phone. So on the moment, at the very moment, there's not much else you can do, but because that happens. But then you can reflect on it and say, okay, what is the burden that I'm putting on the relationship here? What are the expectations that are putting on the relationship that are not serving me well? So this is like really noticing what makes you suffer in a relationship, which is quite easy to spot. And instead of saying, like, you make me angry, saying, okay, what is it inside me that makes me react with anger to this? And of course, like another example is really funny. Fran leaves we have and I know that he's not following, but he might watch the so we have the bin, and regularly I find the packages outside the bin, next to the bin. And of course, I may go and say, look, this is what you should do. This is right. This is what you should do. You should put it inside. What's the point of, you've carried it all the way to next to the bin, and then you leave it outside the bin. And yes, but then if I get angry about it, if it hurts me, you know, if it has an impact on our relationship, then I need to check what is going on inside me. And you know, in this case, I don't get angry anymore. I did at the very beginning when it happened a few times, and then I stopped. And I let go. I realized, okay, this is just something, is a preference of mine. So this is the other important thing, how to put it in practice. Stop using, oh, this is a question that I ask often. Do you prefer to be happy or to be right?
Right.
The two things are sometimes they can happen at the same time, but they're just different. They're and sometimes they're mutually exclusive. Like, so if I have a mental map by which that says, if he doesn't put the packages in the bin, it means that he doesn't care about the house. He doesn't care about me because I've already asked him for like 500 times. And I have an idea of righteousness, of what is right. That's super powerful, super dangerous. Righteousness is a very lonely place. And where I say, yeah, I am the one that owns the truth. And the people who don't comply, they make me angry, or I don't want them in my life. So I can let go of righteousness. So and think, okay, these are my preferences. It's not the truth. It's never the truth. An expectation is always the projection of my way to see the world onto another person. It's not the truth. So that's another way to put it into practice. Drop words like I'm right or wrong, and always talk about preferences. And so this is my preference, and you can have a conversation, of course, about the preference of not leaving the rubbish outside of the bin. But it's not truth, and I need also to make peace with the idea that from his point of view, it's okay to do it. Fine. From his mental maps, it's okay to do it. Like something else the other way around is that I never do up the bed. Never. I don't care. It's not something that is important for me to see the bed like, well, nicely done. And it's important for Fran. And at the beginning, there were times when you would get angry about it. It doesn't do it anymore. It doesn't get angry about it anymore. And you let go. Okay, you need to, okay, this is not a truth. Does it help me? So does it help me to have a fight about this?
I was going to ask if there was, I was trying to formulate the question that entire time. And it was kind of a follow-up question, or maybe it's also related to what Adrian was saying, which is I've done a lot of work on myself. Sometimes whilst being in relationship with others who are not necessarily doing that same work, which can be difficult if you feel like one of you is growing and the other one's not necessarily. And a lot of that work is about, like you say, not projecting or having this model or these shoulds and shouldn'ts and expectations, you know. So I'm very punctual. I like to be on time, you know. So if someone else is very late, that can make me very, you know, like I'm feeling like I'm being disrespected here, you know, because you're not valuing my time. And so I'll work on myself and say, okay, calm down. You know, it's not that important. You know, I'm probably too OCD about it, and so it's probably me that needs to relax. But how can you know in the moment? Let's say that there's a topic, there's a thing, and it can be as trivial as putting the rubbish in the bin or making the bed, or it can be as serious as, you know, somebody acting inappropriately in a kind of you know, playing with the rules of your open or closed relationship. Maybe not feeling like they're being respectful. So is there a criteria that you can apply universally to the smallest and the largest thing that you can go, no, actually, this isn't me, this is them, or is it never me or them? And is it always about preferences, or is there a way to tell, actually, I'm not being treated properly here? Because we can be too accepting, maybe, or maybe we have low self-worth and we think that that behavior is actually tolerable or should be tolerated. And somebody would objectively say, no, you're being mistreated there or abused. No, it can be very hard sometimes, depending on your past history, to know whether or not you should or shouldn't accept what's being done. It's easier to tell when it's rubbish in the bin, but it's harder to tell when it's kind of, those more serious topics that perhaps jealousy revolve around. What do you think about that?
I mean, also abuse is a big topic, huh? No, I like to acceptance of someone for who they are doesn't make everyone right to be my partner. Absolutely. So, but it removes my attempt to control them. So your question was, oh yeah, the word disrespectful or respectful is so dangerous. I deal with it a lot because everyone has their own idea about respect. Now, at a certain point, a very helpful conversation about that is, look, I have a thing about time and timeliness and punctuality. I have a thing about it. And by the way, if you think about it, not everybody is the same. Some people don't care if their partner is late 5 minutes. And so I have a thing about punctuality. For me, it's very important, and I actually suffer when it doesn't happen. And you share it that way. Not like you should be punctual. If you're not punctual, you're disrespectful. And it's still up to you to work on why punctuality is so important for you. And also you need to ask yourself, does it help me to be so hung up on punctuality? Does it help me or not? And you know, from a righteousness perspective, you're right. I mean, people should be punctual. How is it helping you judging people or deciding whether a person is right for you or not, whether they're punctual or not? So it's up to you to decide if that helps you or not. And so yeah, and respect is it's a very dangerous dangerous because it's very righteous, like and then you may decide, you know, like you have certain preferences and you try to work on them together with your partner. By the way, I totally recommend couple therapy. Yeah? If there is a problem, do it, because working together, it's important. It's definitely important to work on yourself, obviously, and to do coaching, therapy, or read self-help books, you know, whatever, take our courses. But the moment there's a problem in the couple, and again, I'll disclose this, and it's not a big deal. So Fran and I both have been through I was telling you one before we started. Fran and I went through a tough time. He moved to London for a Brexit reasons. It was difficult for him to work at the beginning, so he had to work a lot, and it was less paid. And I'm also I have Wazimite, which is a startup, so it's not generating like a large amount of money. So we were struggling. Then we were both working a lot. Other problems, my dad's health, other investment that I refurbishment of the house that was going much longer than it should have taken. So we've basically been living for a few years now in a construction site. All these things, how can you not expect that they have an impact on the relationship? Of course they do. They have an impact on me personally and on Fran personally. Of course they have an impact on the relationship. And many times people think of couple therapy as like the last resort. Don't wait until it's the last resort. I mean, and it's no big deal to say, okay, all these things are happening. They're having an impact on me personally. Of course, they have an impact on the relationship. What couple therapy does is that all of a sudden there's a space where the two people are learning to use the same tools and the same language. So obviously, we're always at different stages in our journey of personal growth. But with couple therapy, there's someone that brings us on the same level. And this helps a lot. I think someone asked about how do I handle when the other person is treating me in a different way or is not on the same level. This can, if you care for that person, suggest doing some couple therapy. And we only needed 3 sessions. 3 sessions, they really turned our problem around. And we're both coaches, by the way. So and it was amazing. 3 sessions, it really turned all the things that were not really going well in that moment gone.
Thank you. Shahid's had his hand up, his emoji hand up for a while, so he must be exhausted.
Sorry, I'm in the gym. So I'm just finishing the gym, so apologies. There are a couple. I've been to relationship counselling and I vouched for it. But actually, we needed more than 3 sessions. We needed a year and a half. But I thought it was amazing. One of the best experiences of my life. There's 2 questions really. The first one is around compromising. It's not a word that you've not used, and that's a word that's often mentioned when around relationships. So, for example, someone being late all the time, or someone not making the bed, or those kinds of things. Like, where does that word fit in with all of this? And the other thing is when someone is upset that you're late all the time, or you're not being prioritized, or you're late all the time, and you just say, it's not my problem, it's your issue, it's your expectation, you walk away. There's some kind of it sounds like there's some kind of absolving of sort of your responsibility to sort of help in that relationship. I don't know, there's something makes you feel a bit uncomfortable with that.
Okay.
Those 2.
Let me answer the second question first. If I have like a jealousy fit, and Fran walks away saying jealousy is your problem, that doesn't help. So what helps, on the other hand, is for the other person to create that space and hold the space where you can express your jealousy. And or if he has a jealousy fit, I don't run away. I hold the space and I empathize with him. He's going through a difficult moment. I'll hold the space and I'll be there. So I don't go away. So I totally know that it's his problem or that it's my problem, but I don't walk away. So my contribution in the moment is really not feeling attacked and replying and then engaging in an argument. My positive contribution is holding the space. And the first thing you said was compromise. So yeah, I don't use that word a lot because I look at it from a slightly different perspective. If I think of compromise, I often think of it as a lose-lose. Nobody's happy. So so the important thing is that, like, again, I thank you, Owen, for your example about punctuality. And so let's have a conversation about it, and let's have a relaxed conversation about it, and let's take mutual commitments that we both feel we can fulfill. So let's have a chat about punctuality. So what Owen can ask his partner. So what I understand that it's not an issue for you. Punctuality is not an issue for you. It's an issue for me. What can we agree that is okay? And you get to a point where you're both happy. Okay, what is an agreeable and then what is a commitment that we both can fulfill and it's healthy. That's a different way to look at compromises. I mean, we need the...
I think Fran has just joined, so he'll be able to give us the other half of all of this.
I was just going to say that as well.
Oh, wow.
Hi, Fran.
I think he's on the phone.
Yeah, he's on the phone at work.
Ah, sorry.
That's okay. I tried to connect it just a few minutes just to say hi to everyone.
Can we see you or no?
Yeah. Of course, you can see me. Gonna work.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello. How you been?
Very good. That's a very good talk.
Everyone. How was it?
We're all jealous of your conversations, basically. We're all imagining that you have the most peaceful, wonderful conversations.
Okay. I'm not sure about that.
He's like,
I need to check that conversation before.
mute. No, just joking. No,
Okay.
it's been a very good talk. Very, very good talk. Thank you.
Yeah.
Does anybody have, we're in the questions section, so does anybody else have any questions they'd like to ask? I'm aware that it is an event which is a bit longer, it's a slightly longer talk. Usually they're 1 hour, this is an hour and a half allocated. So we have about 9 minutes left, provided David is okay with that. Does anyone else have another question? No, we're just talking about lateness and how I'm hoping Fede, my boyfriend, is going to be watching this talk.
So if it's okay for you, I'll just go through a very quick recap.
Yeah, please.
So number 1, self-image and self-love. So look after your self-image and remember that and remember that is what you bring into a relationship. So so notice how often the things that annoy you in a relationship are actually, you can actually link them to something in your self-image. Wholeness. We are whole. There's really nothing there. It's if you put the burden of your wholeness, of your happiness on a relationship, you're putting a massive burden on it. And you're not doing justice to the relationship, by the way. So self-responsibility, to empower yourself and about meeting your own needs and your own preferences and your own expectations, making sure that you can work on them and not expect the relationship to work on them. Acceptance as like love as full acceptance, and understanding that the attacks, the arguments are just expression of the other person's pains and fears. And there's no need to mix the relationship dynamics with our expectations, our preference, our needs. And also we can work on not letting our partner draw into theirs. And growth, this is like fundamental. Move away from I assess the power or the strength or the value of a relationship by how happy it makes. Try to move away from it and build relationships that make you grow. And see how more powerful they are, how freer you feel, how safer you feel in such relationships. And do you prefer to be happy or to be right? So drop righteousness, drop right or wrong, drop you should, you shouldn't. And an interesting exercise that you can do is whatever conversation you're having, make it about love. Make it a point of the conversation to express how much you care for that person. Even if it's something about, like you're always late. Make the conversation about always being late as the point, the objective of that conversation is to express your love. It's not about fixing the punctuality of someone else. Try that. That's also another powerful way to have conversations in a couple.
I'll try that. Thank you.
Let us know how it goes.
Thank you. I just posted in the chat as well the link to your website and your book on Amazon.
Yeah, thank you.
Book,
So
if anybody is,
this is the
that's
book.
the one. If anyone's interested in reading more and learning more, then follow those links. And also, this is recorded. It will be uploaded within the next 24 hours onto the content page. If you want to share it with someone, I'll put the link in the WhatsApp group and you can share the link with other people. And I'll also add the links, which I've just put in the chat, onto that content section. So a bit confusing suddenly. And thank you so much. It was amazing. I really, really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thank you guys for staying until now and participating. And if you have any other questions or if you want to talk about anything, get in touch, really.
And I like I said, I'm going to add you to the speakers group for the Big Gay Talks on WhatsApp, and then people can also, I'll direct them there to ask questions afterwards. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Davide.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
you very much.
Good night.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Owen. Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.